What interest rate are you paying on your house? What interest rate are you getting on your investments? Do you know if it's simple interest or amortized interest? My name's Kyle Knott, and I'm not your average finance guy. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the different kinds of interest. So behind me, I've got two examples that are both $25,000 at 10% for 5 years. But one is simple interest, one is amortized interest, and there is a difference. Now, I didn't say whether we are earning this interest or we're paying this interest, but let's look at this real quick. If we've got on the simple interest side here, we got this is basically an interest only loan, or yeah, it's an interest only loan. So $25,000 at 10% equals $208.33 every month. So after 5 years of those payments, whether you're receiving them or paying them, it doesn't matter. It's either way. So 208.33 times 12 months per year, and then 5 years, that equals, it's a couple cents shy of $2,500, just rounding the area. So $12,500 in interest plus your initial $25,000. So say that you gave someone $25,000 and they were going to give you 10% simple interest on a 5-year term, and then at the end of 5 years, what they do is they'll pay you $208.33 every month, and then in the end of 5 years, they also give you your $25,000 back. So at the end of 5,000, your $25,000 would have turned into $37,500. Now, on the flip side, if you borrowed $25,000, maybe this is a home equity line of credit, and you took out a $25,000 loan to buy a car, and it was 10%. Your payment for that interest only is $208.33. That's just the interest that you would have to pay back to the bank. So at the end of the 5 years, you would have paid $12,500 in interest, but then you also, at some point, have to pay back the $25,000 as well. So two different ways to look at it. The amortized interest, this is more of what we're probably used to on the car loan or the home loan. Same thing, $25,000 at 10% for 5 years equals a $531.18 monthly payment. Because this one, you are also paying down your interest. Remember, simple interest is basically an interest only. You're only paying interest on what the principal is. So over here, at the end of 5 years, now notice, yeah, 531 is a lot higher than 208, right? So you're paying $531 a month for 5 years, and in 5 years, say you bought a $25,000 car, and 10% is a terrible rate, but just for this example, at the end of 5 years, now your car is bought and paid for, you would end up paying $31,870. Okay. Now, on the flip side, if you loan someone $25,000 at a 10% interest and it was amortized over 5 years, they would make you payments of $531 every month, and at the end of it, you're getting $31,870. We're over here, if you're making it, you're just making $208 of interest every month. So it's a little bit less, but at the end, you get 37. They have to pay you the principal back as well. So that's $37,500. So you can see that this $25,000 example, there's a little bit of a difference. You know, what do we got? $6,000-ish. So imagine if that was $250,000 or whatever else it is. So there's always two different ways to look at it, and the way one way is always better than the other. So some people say like, oh, 10% return, that's awesome. Yeah, 10% is awesome. Is it simple? Is it amortized? Which way do you want to go? Get my head out of the way. Which way? What are you looking for? If you're having if you're taking out a loan, and these aren't always the same. Sometimes the amortized, with the amortized interest, you're front loading interest. So most of the amortized loan, and this is only a 5-year. If you go to like a 30-year, that's why the mortgage industry pushes 30-year amortized loans all the time. Because if you look at that early on, you are paying mostly all interest. It's probably over 95% of your payment is all interest, and there's just a little sliver goes to knocking down that principal. And because those amortized loans are front loaded like that, the mortgage industry knows that you're not going to live in your house for 30 years. Very few people do that anymore. Yeah, our parents, maybe grandparents, or our grandparents and maybe our parents did that, But people right now, I mean, heck, I think we've moved every 5 years. So every time I move, I'm basically not knocking my principal down by hardly anything. So, and they know that. That's why they front load and it's all interest. I doubt anyone's going to give you a house on a simple interest only where you only pay interest, but it is available like a home equity line of credit. You can get a first lien home equity line of credit and do stuff like that. I would not, if that's the way you want to go, that's awesome because look here, you only have to pay 208. Now, what if you only have to pay 208, but you continue to make the 531 payments? So now that means you got an extra 300 some dollars is going towards knocking down your principal. So you can look at your amortization tables of how you're going to do this, and sometimes it's not always one or the other. It's better. In this example, obviously you can see which depends on which side you're on. You know, if you're making the money, here's what you want to do. If you're borrowing the money, there's what you want to do in the end, right? So, but maybe you can't make the $500 payment. You can only make a $400 payment. So here you have to pay 208, but then every month you are going to pay extra, say $200 towards the principal. Well, guess what? Next month that 208 is going to go down because you knock your principal down by $200. So this is if you follow that route, that's more of the velocity banking route. Look up Pay Down Debt Solutions. They've got a really good channel basically dedicated to velocity banking, and they are awesome with all that stuff. So check those guys out if you're interested in the velocity banking side of it. But I want to make this short video just to show you that the simple interest versus amortized interest, I'm kind of a math geek. I love diving into these numbers. So if you need any help with this kind of stuff, if you got a question on here's my situation, and I'm not going to tell you what to do, I'll tell you what maybe I would do. I like to help people realize what kind of situations, what other situations are out there. Too many people, I think, don't know enough about finances, and they just, 5%, okay. Can you get any lower? And well, maybe you don't want to. You probably want a lower rate, but depending on how, if it's simple interest versus amortized interest, how long is the loan? If you can knock that principal down, I like simple interest because I can knock that principal down. I'm never going to just pay the minimum of the interest only. Me personally, I'm going to try to throw everything I can at that. And this is what the infinite banking concept does. So whatever if you take it, you can take a loan against this, your own banking system, basically. You take a loan against it, and then you pay back as simple interest. So you kind of can set up your own payment. You don't have to pay anything. You really don't have to. You can set your own terms no matter how you do it, but obviously the faster you pay it back, the less you will pay in interest. These amortized, that is your payment, $531.18. Now, if you make an extra payment on an amortized loan, say your house payment, or this is more of a car payment example, if you make an extra, say you pay an extra $1,000 towards this amortized loan, that doesn't, yes, it knocks your principal down, but your payment stays the same. You have to pay $531.18 every month until it's paid off. Now, if you throw $1,000 at that interest, yeah, it's going to knock a couple payments off of the end. So your last payment will be smaller, but otherwise you are locked into that 531 payment, where maybe you need a little more flexibility. Maybe you don't have a salary job and you've got sporadic income coming in all over the place. There, maybe better you're locked into 208. You know, it's less than half of that. So that's what I have to pay, but I can always pay more. And then if I pay more, now I don't have to pay as much interest next month. I can run the numbers, but if you paid an extra $1,000 towards that, if you paid $1,200 next month, I don't know what the number, you're probably only paying $195 in interest or something like that, depending on where you're at and how much you've knocked that principal down by. So the more you knock the principal down, the lower that payment will be until it gets down to zero. And like I said, that's kind of like the velocity banking method to get that knocked out quick. So just some things to think about. If you ever have any questions about this, look me up. I geek out over this stuff. I'd love to talk and help you out. All right, good luck, everybody. I hope this helps.